I never like to stand watch, not at any hour. But the watch I hate most is the one they call the dog watch. I'd rather scrub the deck, I'd rather polish brass or scrape off rust than have to stand that watch. It begins at 4 in the morning and it lasts until daybreak. Those are the hours when a man plays solitaire with a deck of old cards in his heart. Yes, that's right. He remembers. He remembers a place, certain people in it. I remember this city, a large Midwestern city, the washed-out middle of it. I remember so well the early morning sun fingering its way through the streets and areaways. I remember a certain alley where life began reluctantly in the morning. The back of a building covered with a network of iron railings and stairs called a fire escape. And the dusty brick walls concealing furious and desperate living in shabby rooms. Mother had hung a pair of white lace curtains as if to hide us from the unattractive reality of a world and city and neighborhood that we lived in. Inside those curtains was our place of residence, apartment F, second floor south. It was the light on my sister's collection of glass that first caught my eyes when I woke up in the morning. Little glass animals that were as fragile as Laura. Oh, yes. There was also the ever-present smile of my father. He was a telephone man who fell in love with long distance. The last we heard from him was a postcard containing 2 words, hello, goodbye, and no address. This is how I remember our living and waiting together.
Rise and shine! Laura? Laura, honey, tell that brother of yours to get up.
Tom, it's after 7.
Rise and shine!
I'll rise, but I won't strike.
Tom apologized to Mother.
For what?
Well, you made her very angry last night when you slammed the door in her face.
She slammed it.
Well, somebody slammed it. And if you apologize, then she'll start speaking.
Her not speaking, is that such a tragedy?
Oh, please, Tom.
All right. I'll tell her I'm sorry. I'll tell her I'm sorry for living.
Laura, didn't I ask you to go to the delicatessen for some butter?
Yes, Mother.
Oh, do I have to get dressed and go out for it myself?
No, Mother. Butter and what else?
Just a quarter of a pound of butter and tell him to charge it.
But Mr. Schultz makes such a terrible face when I say that.
Well, sticks and stones can break my bones. The look on Mr. Schultz's face is not going to hurt me. Oh, honey, try to look like a lady on the street. We don't want to imitate our common neighbors. Commonness can be contagious, honey, unless you have a resistance. You, if anybody breaks a leg on these fire escape steps, that landlord ought to be sued for every cent he possesses. Oh, I forgot. I'm not talking to you. Good morning.
Mother, I apologize. I'm sorry we quarreled last night.
I make myself hateful to my children.
No, you don't.
I've had to put up a solitary battle all these years. But you're my right-hand bower. Don't fall down, Tom. Don't fail.
I try.
Try and you'll succeed. Promise me one thing, son.
What, Mother?
Promise me you'll never be a drunkard.
I promise I'll never be a drunkard. Give me the toast.
In these trying times we live in, all we have to cling to is each other.
Yes, Mother.
That's why it's so important to... Tom, I sent your sister out so I could discuss something with you. If you hadn't spoken to me, I would have spoken to you.
What do you want to discuss?
Laura.
Oh,
now, sit down.
I'm late,
You got
Mother.
a minute. You know how Laura is, so quiet, but Still waters run deep, and she notices things. I think she broods about them. The other day I came in and she was crying.
What about?
About you.
Me?
She has an idea you're not happy here.
What gave her that idea?
What gives her any idea? But you do act strange. Tom, I'm not criticizing you, but life hasn't been easy.
Yes, Mother.
There's so many things in my heart I can't describe to you, Tom. With all his faults, I loved your father.
I know that.
And when I see you taking on his way...
Well, what's that got to do with Laura?
She says you hate the apartment and that you go out nights to get away from it. Is that true, Tom?
Now, look, Mother. You say that there are so many things in your heart that you can't describe to me. Well, that's true of me, too. There are so many things in my heart that I can't describe to you.
Tom.
So let's just respect each other's feelings, huh?
Sit down. You haven't had your porridge.
I don't want any porridge. You want me to punch in late at the warehouse?
That warehouse won't collapse if you're 5 minutes late. I must talk about Laura.
Well, what about her?
Don't you shout at me.
I'm not shouting.
Yes, you were shouting. Tom, we gotta make plans and provisions. That's what it's about.
You've made provisions. You badgered me into taking all my savings and investing them in this business course for her, which is an absolute waste.
Why is it a waste to prepare her?
Because she's not cut out for it, Mother.
I've tried everything else. Will you name me one stone your mother's left unturned? I even took her to the Young People's League at the church, a fiasco. She spoke to nobody. Nobody spoke to her. All she does right now is fool with those pieces of glass and play those worn-out records. I don't know that that's any kind of life for a pretty young girl to believe in.
I guess she's a type that people call homegirl.
There's no such type. And if there is, it's a pity, unless it's her own home with her own husband sitting in it. Oh, I can see the handwriting on this wall. It's terrifying. I mean the way you remind me of your father. You got the wandering bug same as he had. And I saw that letter from the Merchant Marine. I saw it.
What letter?
They accepted your application.
Well, you had no... Give me that letter. Give it to me.
I know what you're up to.
When did this arrive?
Yesterday. And I haven't had a minute's peace since I opened it. All right. All right, you go. You go whichever way the wind drifts you, north, south, east, or west. Not until there's somebody here to take your place, young man.
What are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about. I mean that you're going to be free of responsibilities when your sister's married and got a home of her own. Then and not until then. You're a man. You ought to be able to think of some way to help your sister. But you don't think of anything but self. Don't put your shirt in. Oh, Tom, honey, don't you know some nice young man who'd come and call on your sister?
What?
Yeah, a nice gentleman call.
Mother, what do you suggest?
Oh, there you are, Laura, honey.
Mother, you should have heard what Mr. Schultz said when I asked him to charge it.
Don't you quote that mercenary man to me. I don't want to know what he said now or ever.
Oh, I was so embarrassed, Mother.
Don't you get embarrassed in this world, honey. Don't you get embarrassed by anybody over anything at all, ever. You just remember that the Wingfields were the first white people to settle on the soil of Mississippi.
You said it.
Laura? Laura? You be late for your typing class.
Yes, Mother.
Oh, honey, look, you haven't had breakfast.
I don't want anything. I've got an exam today.
Honey, you can't type on an empty stomach. Now, sit down.
Please don't make me eat anything. I'll get something later.
Honey, let me see your purse. Give me your purse. Just as I thought, empty. How were you going to eat? How were you going to get to your typing class? You were going to walk, weren't you? Now, look. That's for car fare, lunch, and car fare.
Bye, Tom.
Goodbye.
Bye, honey. Now, use the streetcar, honey. You use it. Public transportation system should be used liberally. After all, we pay for it out of our taxes. Goodbye, honey.
Bye, Mother.
Tom, why are you making all that racket?
Mother, I'm looking for a book that's overdue at the public library, and I bet you took it.
If it was a decent book, you wouldn't be ashamed of it. And if you weren't ashamed of it, you wouldn't try to hide it.
Mother, where's my tie?
Here. And if you didn't hide that book, young man, it wouldn't get lost.
Have you got anything else you'd like to tell me this morning?
Not a thing.
All right, then. Do you mind if I go to work?
No. Tom. Tom, while you're there, will you try and find a nice, clean, wholesome boy for your sister?
Every morning after Laura and I had left the apartment, Mother would begin her vigorous campaign on the telephone, roping in subscribers to one of those magazines for matrons called The Housekeeper's Companion.
Hello, Ida Scott?
Who is it?
It's Amanda Wingfield.
Oh,
Honey, how's that kidney condition of yours?
terrible.
Oh, honey, you're a martyr. That's what you are. You're just a martyr. Ida, I was just looking in my little book, and I discovered that your subscription to the Companion's running out. Just when that wonderful new serial by Bessie May Harper's starting. It's the first thing she's written since Honeymoon for Three, and I believe this one's even lovelier. It's all about the horsey Long Island set, and a debutante gets thrown from her horse and her spine is injured. That's what the horse did. He just stepped right on her.
I don't care what happened to the horse.
Ida, why do you sound so cross, honey? What's the matter?
Oh, you woke me up. It's only 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock? Why, so it is. I didn't realize it was so early. Aren't I a fool?
All right, Amanda. Send me a renewal blank and stop bothering me.
You will renew?
I'll renew it. I'll renew it.
You will? Why, bless you, honey, bless you. You just go right back to sleep. Bless you, honey. Now, Ida Scott.
Miss Wingfield, why aren't you in the classroom?
My locker's stuck. It won't open.
Then put your things down underneath it and come right into the classroom. The speed test starts immediately. Time waits for no one, not even for you, Miss Wingfield. Punctuality is the courtesy of kings, but it is also indispensable to clerks and stenographers and anyone else who hopes to establish herself in the business world.
I'm sorry I'm late.
You had better hurry, Miss Wingfield. Now then, time has been sacrificed this morning through the failure of a single individual to adjust itself to the regulations necessary to this class as a whole. Now then, at exactly 9:30, the speed drill will commence. Take your proper positions and do not slouch in your seats. Get ready. Do not stop to make corrections. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, begin! Wingfield, come back. You can't leave during a speed test. Continue typing. Miss Wingfield.
on that Hartman order from Miami. Gotta go Air Express.
We're on top of it.
Air Express tonight.
Yeah, we heard you. What do you think of that?
Every order's a rush.
You know what happens to these shoes when they get to Miami? They sit in a department store window and they get sunburned. That's what I like to get, sunburned. My employment at the warehouse was like a long, lingering sickness, with each day maybe the last, depending on the boss's patience and mine, both running out fast.
Honey, don't push your food with your fingers. You must push for something. The thing to push for is a crust of bread. You must chew your food. Animals have secretions in their stomach which enables them to digest their food without mastication. Human beings must chew their food before they swallow it down.
I prefer to gulp my food.
Don't you want to give your salivary glands a chance to function? Go on, chew.
Mother, when I come home, I like to eat in peace, which is impossible with you giving me instructions with every bite that I take. It's disgusting, all this talk about animal secretions, salivary glands, mastication.
Temperament like a metropolitan star. You're not excused from the table.
I'm going to get a cigarette.
You smoke too much.
I'll bring in the coffee, Mother.
No, honey, you be the lady this time.
But I'm not.
Resume your seat, little sister. We got to keep you fresh and pretty for your gentlemen callers.
I'm not expecting any gentlemen callers, Mother.
Sometimes they arrive when we least expect them. We have to be prepared to entertain them. Fortunately, when I was your age, I understood the art of conversation.
I'll bet she did.
I remember one Sunday afternoon in Blue Mountain.
I know what's coming.
Let her tell it, Tom.
Again?
She loves to tell it. I'm listening, Mother.
All right, Mother. I'm listening.
I remember one Sunday afternoon when I received 17 gentlemen callers. I had to entertain them all on our plantation. Such an escort with a governor's costume ball. I tell you, it wasn't enough in those days for a girl to have a pretty face and a graceful figure. You had to have a nimble wit and a tongue to meet all occasions. You had to have charm and vivacity. After the first dance, every one of my gentlemen callers rushed up to sign my program. Why, in the course of that one evening, I must have used up over a dozen dance programs to accommodate them all. Never sat down for a moment, wore out a brand new pair of shoes, and received 23 serious proposals of marriage. There was young Champ Lachlan. He was drowned in Moon Lake. My goodness, he certainly left his widow well provided for. $150,000 in government bonds. And the Couture cousins, Wesley and Bates. Wesley was my own bright particular beau. Bates was jealous, and he was hot-tempered. He knew I favored Wesley. That night, he started a quarrel that went on for months, until finally they fought it out, and poor Wesley was shot right through the stomach. He certainly left his widow well provided for, too. He never loved that woman. It was my picture that was found on him the night he died. Oh, and that brilliant young Fitzhugh boy from Green College. He never married. He went north to Wall Street and made a fortune. I could have been Mrs. J. Duncan Fitzhugh. But what did I do? How many do you suppose we're going to entertain this evening?
I don't think there'll be any, Mother.
Oh, not one? Not one? Why, you must be joking. Not one gentleman caller? It can't be true. My word, there must have been a flood. There must have been a tornado.
There's no flood, Mother. There's no tornado. I'm just not as popular as you were in Blue Mountain. Mother's afraid I'm going to be an old maid.
Now what you scribbling?
Poem? What are you fussing about?
I'm trying to save your eyesight. You only got one pair of eyes, and you've got to take care of them. Oh, I know John Milton was blind, but that's not what made him a genius. Tom, why don't you sit up straight? Well, I've seen a medical chart, and I know what that position does to your internal organs. Your stomach presses against your lungs presses against your heart, and that poor little heart just gets discouraged because it's got no room left to go on beating for you.
I give you my word, Mother, my poor little heart can take it.
Is that really a poem?
Well, I hope so.
Think you can sell it? Why you always hide things from me? You wouldn't let me see that book you were reading, but I saw it just the same.
Did you take that book I was looking for this morning?
I took that horrible book back to the library, yes. That hideous book by that insane, horrible writer.
I haven't got a thing. Not a single thing in this house that I can call my own.
Tom Wingfield, you just lower your voice. I got something to say to you.
I've had enough. I'm going
Where you
out.
going?
I'm going to the movies.
Why do you go to the movies all the time?
I go to the movies, Mother, because I like adventure.
Most young men find adventure in their career.
And adventure is something you don't get much of in a warehouse.
You come back here, Tom Wingfield. I'm not through talking to you. You're going to listen. I'm at the end of my patience.
Where do you think I'm at? Don't you think I have any patience to reach the end of, Mother? I know. It seems unimportant to you what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do.
You don't care about us. All you think of is self. That's all you ever think of. I'm only your mother, but you should care about your sister a little. That's what you should. You get 3 hours sleep, and then you go to work. You're in no condition.
That's true. I'm in no condition.
No right to jeopardize your job. Jeopardize our security.
Listen, you think I'm crazy about that warehouse? You think I'm in love with mid-continental shoemakers? You think I want to spend 55 years of my life down there in that icebox interior with those fluorescent tubes? But I go. Every morning you come in yelling, rise and shine, rise and shine. I think how lucky dead people are, but I get up. I go.
How dare you raise your voice to your mother?
For 150 lousy bucks a month I go. I give up all that I've ever dreamt of doing and being ever. And you say that self's the only thing I ever think of. Why, listen, if self were the only thing I ever thought of, Mother, I'd be where he is, gone. As far as the system of transportation reaches. Don't grab at me.
I'm not grabbing. Where are you going?
I told you I'm going to the movies.
I don't believe that lie.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm going to opium dens. Yes, opium dens. Dens of vice and criminal hangouts. I've joined the Hogan gang, Mother. I'm a hired assassin. I carry a Tommy gun and a violin case. They call me Killer. Killer Wingfield. I'm leading a double life. A simple, honest double life. By day, I'm a poor warehouse worker. But by night, I'm a dynamic czar of the underworld. Mother, my enemies plan to dynamite this place.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. They're gonna blow us all up. Sky high some night. And then I'll be glad. Very glad. And so will you. Because then you'll go up, up, up. Over Blue Mountain. You go up on a broomstick. You go up with your 17 gentlemen callers.
As long as you live, until you apologize.
crack and it falls through.
Tom, what are you doing?
I'm looking for the door key
Where have you been all this time?
to the movies.
All this time to the movies?
There was a very long program. Oh, there was 2 Westerns, and a Bugs Bunny, and a travelogue, and a newsreel, and a preview of coming attractions, and a fat lady had a fight with an usher.
Did you have to stay through everything?
Of course. Twice. Oh, I almost forgot. There was a big stage show, and the headliner's name was Malvolio, the magician. Oh, he was wonderful. He did the most amazing tricks. And one of them was he poured water back and forth between pitchers. And first it turned to wine, and then it turned to beer, and then it turned to whiskey.
How did you know?
I know. I know because he invited people to come up out of the audience to help him. So I came up. Both shows. It was Kentucky straight bourbon. He was a very generous fellow. Oh, he gave souvenirs. He gave me this. This is his magic scarf.
Isn't it lovely?
Shh, watch. You wave it over a cage of canaries, and they become a bowl of goldfish. Then, you put it over a bowl of goldfish, and they fly away. Canaries! Isn't this a pretty scarf?
It's beautiful.
I wish it were big enough to cover this whole ugly world.
The world isn't ugly. While I was waiting for you tonight, I listened to the music from the Paradise. It was beautiful. The whole world was beautiful.
Because one little part was flooded with rainbows. What about the rest? you know that magician? He had the wonderfulest trick of all.
What was the trick?
Well, we nailed him in a packing box, and he got out of it without removing a single nail. There's a trick that come in handy for me. Get me out of that warehouse. La, 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 someone to watch over me. What are you shushing me for?
You'll wake Mother.
Goody, goody, pay her back for those rise and shines. Look. You know, it doesn't take much intelligence to get yourself into a nailed-up box. But who in the world ever got out of one without removing one single nail?
Good night, Tom.
But you did. You got out.
Rise and shine. Rise and... Oh.
Tom's breakfast ready, Mother.
All right, well, go tell that brother of yours.
Mother went out and bought strawberries especially for you, Tom.
Strawberries won't help me.
Please be pleasant. She's upset.
Rise and shine. Rise and shine. Mother, I apologize.
Don't do it on account of the strawberries.
Well, Mother, I'm sorry about all those things I said. Really, I am.
My devotion to my children has made me a witch.
Oh, I didn't say that.
You did. You said you wanted me to go off on a broomstick. That's what you said.
Well, I didn't mean it.
Well, you said it. This time you hadn't even been drinking. That's what worried me. You hadn't even been drinking.
Mother, I'm sorry.
Sit down. Sit down and eat your strawberries. Go on, eat. You'll feel better.
Just coffee.
Some cereal.
No, Mother, just coffee.
You can't do a day's work on an empty stomach. Don't gulp. Don't gulp. Gulping too hot liquid gives you stomach trouble. It perforates the lining. Put some cream in it.
No, thanks, Mother. I don't want any cream. I just want it black.
Well, put some cream in to cool it off.
Mother, do you mind if I just please have it black?
There's no nourishment in black coffee. We have to do all we can to build ourselves up.
I'm sorry, Mother. I have to rush now.
Oh, son, I know your ambition doesn't lie in that warehouse. It calls for Spartan endurance.
It sure does.
Tom.
Yes, Mother.
Tom, are you ashamed to bring anybody up here? Are you ashamed of the apartment?
Oh, I love it, Mother. Believe me, I never want to move.
Well, then will you please find some nice young man at that warehouse to get acquainted with your sister? Now, what's wrong with that, I'd like to know.
Okay.
Tom, will you bring some nice young man? Good morning. Tom, honey, please don't forget to bring someone home.
Yes, Mother. Laura didn't tell us about her failure at Post Business School. Every morning for weeks after, she would pick up her books and leave. But instead of going to school, she would walk to all the places where the lonely spend their time.
Hello, Mother. Mother, I was just...
Practicing your typing, I suppose.
Yes.
Deception. Deception. Deception.
Did you sell any subscriptions, Mother?
No, I didn't sell any subscriptions. I didn't have the heart. I didn't have the courage. I just wanted to find a hole in the ground and bury myself in the river.
Why did you do that? Why are you staring at me, Mother? Aren't you going to tell me what's wrong?
I went to Post Business College to find out how you were progressing.
Oh.
Yes. Oh,
I'm sorry, Mother.
Oh, Laura, it isn't the money I care about so much. It's all my hopes and my ambitions for you gone up the spout. Just gone up the spout like that. Laura, where were you? Where did you go when you were supposed to be at business college?
I just went walking.
Walking? Deliberately trying to wear yourself out.
I didn't walk all the time. Sometimes I went inside places to rest.
Inside? Inside where?
The library, the park. Lately, I've been spending my afternoons in the jewel box. The big glass house where they grow tropical flowers.
Tropical flowers. Laura, what are we going to do for the rest of our lives? Just sit in this room and watch the parades go by? Amuse ourselves with a Glass Menagerie? Eternally play those phonograph records that your father left us as a constant reminder of him?
I can't go back to Post. I got sick.
You got sick. So we won't have a business career. We've given that up because we got sick. Laura, what is there left for us but dependency for the rest of our lives?
Oh, I won't be dependent, Mother. I'll go out and find work.
Work? What work? I know so well what becomes of unmarried women who aren't prepared to occupy a position in life. I've seen such pitiful cases in the South. Barely tolerated spinsters living on some brother's wife or sister's husband, stuck away in some little mousetrap of a room, encouraged by one in-law to visit another. Little bird-like women without any nest, eating the crusty humility all their lives. Is that the future we've mapped out for ourselves?
No. No.
Well, I declare it's the only alternative I can think of. It's not a very pleasant alternative, is it? Of course, some girls get married. Honey, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get you married.
But, Mother, I'm crippled.
Don't use that word. How many times have I told you never, never to use that word? Well, you're not crippled. Just have a slight defect, that's all. Hardly noticeable. Well, Laura, you don't even have to wear a brace anymore. People have a slight defect. They cultivate other things to make up for it. They develop charm and vivacity and charm. That's all you have to do. One thing your father had plenty of was charm. Girls who aren't cut out for a business career usually end up married to some nice young man.
But, Mother, who would marry you?
You're not crippled. Walk, Laura.
Walk?
Yes, walk. I want to see you walk. Walk around this room. Go on, walk. Walk around this room. You're not crippled. You're not crippled.
Mother would often say, I feel like just giving up. But this was a lie. Giving up was the last idea that would enter her mind. After Laura's failure at the business school, Mother was obsessed with the idea of somehow finding Laura a gentleman caller. But this took money. Patiently, grimly, and sometimes even a little desperately, she went out looking for it. Hard on her shoes. It must have been equally hard on her pride. But what is pride when love for someone and ambition for someone you love is concerned? The image of the gentleman caller haunted our small apartment, and rarely an evening would pass without a frantic appeal to bring home a nice young man to call on Laura.
Sure, Notre Dame's got a good football team. But you know, when I was quarterback at Solon High, we had a play that nobody could figure out.
Man, what are you talking
Now,
about?
wait a minute, I'm not kidding you. Look, Coach Torgan and me worked this whole play out. It's kind of a shifting team.
O'Connor?
Oh, yes, sir.
What is all this football talk?
Oh, well, I was just telling the boys that, well, teamwork is required in every walk of life.
Huh?
Well, no man makes a shoe by himself, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, then I figure, Mr. Mendoza, that you're like the coach of a football team. You supply the mind power, and we supply the manpower. We work together like a well-trained team.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, O'Connor.
Thank you.
Makes a lot of sense.
How am I doing?
Fine.
I think I'm improving. You certainly can handle Mendoza. Say, get a cigarette?
Yeah. You know, it's all in the mind. If you think like the president of the Mid-Continental Shoe Company, you'll be the president.
I don't want to be president. Right now, I'm committing myself to a future that doesn't include this
What are
warehouse.
you gassing about?
Look.
What's that? You joining the Merchant Marine?
Yeah.
What for?
Don't you ever feel like going places?
Sure, I'll go places, but not on the ocean.
I never pick up a shoe in this warehouse that I don't shudder thinking how short life is and what I'm doing.
Does it get you spouting all that stuff about how short life is? Get you no place. I bet you're still writing poems. Well, just what I figured. What a crazy guy. You know what's the trouble with you? You're running away from things. You don't want to face facts. Shakespeare, I'm going to sell you a bill of goods.
What goods?
Public speaking.
Public speaking?
You and me are... We're not the warehouse type.
Well, thanks, but what's that got to do with public speaking?
Fit you for executive positions. Oh, look, ask yourself one question. What's the difference between you and me and the guys down in the front office? Brains? No. Ability? No. Just one little thing.
What's that one little thing?
Well, primarily it amounts to social poise. Being able to square up to people and hold your own on any social level. Wakefield.
What kind of cigarettes do you smoke? They must be very long and very slow burning.
Well, I was just getting a breath of fresh air, Mr. Mendoza. Your ventilating system went out of order.
Oh, the ventilating system. You don't like it. If the management had the alternative of scrapping you or a $50,000 ventilating system, which do you think they'd scrap? I've a good mind to have you...
Mr. Mendoza. Excuse me, Mr. Mendoza.
Yes?
Are you going to be busy Tuesday night?
Why?
Well, I was wondering whether you could spare an evening to talk to our public speaking class on factory management.
What?
Well, you know how it is at night school. All theory, nothing backed up by practical experience. And, well, with your vast knowledge...
Why, factory management, yeah. Well, I'll have to think about it.
Thank you, Mr. Mendoza.
Thanks. I'll admit it, I'd have blown my top.
When you first meet Mendoza, you don't like him, but when you get to know him, you hate him.
Mother, is dinner ready?
As soon as Laura gets back, I'll send out for some things. Where are you?
Out here, Mother.
It's getting cool. Fire escape land is a pretty poor excuse for the veranda I used to have back home. When I was a girl, we used to do all our entertaining on the veranda in the summer. You smoke too much. A pack a day at 21 cents a pack. How much would that be in a month? Let me see. 30 times 21, that'd be, well, anyway, enough to give you a night school course in accounting at Washington U. Wouldn't that be lovely?
I'd rather smoke.
I know. I know. That's the tragedy of it.
Excuse me.
Mr. Ransom. That is your name, I believe.
Clayton Ransom, ma'am.
That's what the janitor told me. Just moved in. Tom, this is Mr. Ransom.
Yeah, I know.
Pardon me for being so southern, but I think neighbors, vertical as well as horizontal neighbors, ought to get acquainted, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Mississippi?
No, ma'am. Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville. Why, do you know the Porterfields of Nashville?
The Porterfields?
Uh-huh.
No, ma'am. I don't recall them.
Oh, pity.
Yeah.
Won't you come in and have a fruit cup?
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, ma'am, but I can't right now. I'm going out with a date.
Oh, come. We'll give you a rain check then.
Well, thank you, ma'am. I'll take you up on that. Goodbye.
Goodbye then.
Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye.
Young bachelor. Seems bashful.
Gun shy.
The world is just full of lonesome young men, just longing for someone to give them a friendly smile. What you looking at?
The moon.
Oh. Is there a moon?
It's rising over Schultz's delicatessen.
So there is. Little silver slip of a moon.
Did you make a wish?
Uh-huh.
What'd you wish?
I wish for success and happiness for my two precious children. I get so weary wishing that all the time. I wish it when there is a moon and when there isn't a moon.
I thought perhaps you might have wished for a gentleman caller.
Whatever gave you that idea?
Well, don't you remember asking me to fetch one?
I never asked. I suggested.
You did repeatedly. Well, I'm going to bring one.
What?
A gentleman caller.
You You've actually asked some nice young man to come and visit your sister Laura?
I've asked him to come to dinner.
Oh, son, how perfectly lovely. Did he accept?
He did.
It's definite.
Oh, very definite.
Oh, how soon?
Oh, pretty soon.
How soon?
Oh, quite soon.
Tom, how soon?
Very, very soon. Friday.
Friday.
Friday night.
But, Tom, that gives me no time at all.
No time for what?
Preparations. You should have phoned me the moment he accepted. Why, this whole place has got to be thrown together properly.
Mother, I tell you, you don't have to make any fuss.
Now, let me see. Look at that tired old daybed. That awful lamp. Sad-looking carpet. Looks like it was peeled off the back of a mangy old Arkansas mule.
I tell you, he's a very
I tell you, you can't have a gentleman caller in a pigsty. Oh, I wish I had time to pay for the wall.
Oh, Mother.
Tom, we don't have a thing to wear. We don't have a blessed thing to wear.
Mother, stop talking about not wearing anything. If you don't stop this fussing, I'm going to tell him not to come.
Tom, you can't do that. People hate broken engagements. Why, they got no place to go. Where'd you meet him?
At the warehouse. Where else could I meet him?
Uh-huh. What's his name?
O'Connor. Jim O'Connor.
O'Connor, Irish, coming Friday, fished. Oh, does he drink?
What?
Well, your father did.
Now, don't get started on that.
Then he does drink.
Not that I know of, Mother.
Nothing I want less for my daughter than a man who drinks.
Aren't you being just a bit premature?
What does he make?
Make?
Yeah, his salary at the warehouse. How much is it?
Well, I would judge it to be approximately $165 a month.
Well, sir, that's not princely.
It's 15 more than I make.
Oh, don't I know that? But for a family man...
Mr. O'Connor is not a family man.
Well, he might be sometime in the future. You sure he doesn't drink?
Give me a nickel. I'll call him on the phone and ask him.
Don't you be supercilious with your mother. These things have to be investigated discreetly to save a girl making a tragic mistake. I'll fix that tomorrow.
How did you happen to make such a tragic mistake?
That innocent look on your father's face had everybody fooled. I declare that man could charm a bird off a tree. Tom,
Yes, Mother.
come here. Got my wedding silver.
Jim O'Connor's nobody to impress.
I hope he's not too good looking.
No, he's not too good looking.
Well, he's not downright homely.
No, he's not downright homely. He's just medium homely.
Well, character's what you look for in a man. Put those things away. We'll polish them tomorrow.
Yes, Mother.
Tom, did you tell him you had a sister?
No, Mother. He doesn't know about Laura.
Well, he will know. He'll know about Laura.
I didn't tell him anything about her. I didn't let on that we had dark, ulterior motives.
When he sees how sweet and pretty and lovely she is, he'll thank his lucky stars he was invited to dinner.
Mother,
Well,
you mustn't expect too much of Laura.
what do you mean by that?
Well, she seems all those things to you and me because she's ours and we love her. We don't even notice that she's crippled.
Don't use that word.
Well, she is. And that's not all.
What do you mean, that's not all?
Laura's very different from other girls.
I know that. And I think that difference is all to her credit.
Well, no, not quite all. In the eyes of others, strangers, she's terribly shy. She lives in a world of her own, and that makes her seem peculiar to people outside the house.
Don't use that word peculiar.
You have to face the facts, Mother.
I don't know in what way she's peculiar.
Laura lives in a world of little glass animals. She plays old phonograph records. That's about all.
What are you gonna do now?
Rest up for dinner. You wore me out, Mother.
There's Laura. Laura, honey, I got good news. I got the best news ever. Friday, we're gonna have a gentleman call. Come on up, honey. Come and make a wish on the moon.
What?
Uh-huh. A little silver slipper of a moon. No, this way, honey, over your left shoulder. Now wish. What'll I wish for? Happiness and good fortune. Just a little happiness. A little bit of good fortune.
Mother,
Mm-hmm.
I've only 50 cents.
Honey, don't you worry. We have friends, and friends are more important than all the riches in the world. We want the credit desk, please.
Yes, ma'am, right over there.
Thank you very much.
Yes, send it to a new address in Clayton. Yes.
I want to talk to the gentleman in charge of the charge accounts, please.
Well, what can I do for you, madam?
Well, I received a very strange letter the other day from the credit department informing me that my charge account had been discontinued. And I just want to say that I've been doing business with this store since I first arrived in St. Louis 22 years ago. Why, my whole residence is furnished with things from Bowman's department store. All my linen, practically all my silver that didn't come with my trousseau, and every stick of furniture in my house came directly from Bowman's department store. So I think it was extremely surprising, not to say discourteous and uncalled for, to send me a letter like this. So cold and so foul. Why, I declare it just struck me like a tornado.
It seems, madam, that your account was cut off because of an item of $8.75 due from last quarter.
Last quarter? What is last quarter? Honey, I don't understand these business technicalities, do you? But if there's something owing on my account, I assure you nothing would give me greater pleasure than to settle it right here and now.
I'll get you a new credit card, Mrs. Wingfield. Excuse me.
Where did you get the money?
As long as you've got friends, you can always afford a little more than you can without them. That's where that lovely, lovely word credit comes in. You can't have friends without credit. But you'll have credit as long as you've got friends.
Here you are, madam.
Oh, thank you.
It's all been straightened out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You see, Laura, how easy it is to lose friends. If it hadn't been for that nice young lady, we would have lost the friendship of Mr. Bowman's department store. Now, you come along, honey. The unpleasant part of this expedition is over. We're going upstairs now and just charge and charge and charge. Finished. Laura, why are you trembling?
Mother, you make me so nervous.
How do I make you nervous?
All this fuss, you make it seem so important.
But it is important. I declare I don't understand you at all. Turn around, honey. Every time I try to do anything the least bit different for you, you always seem to set yourself against it. Now go and take a look at yourself in the mirror, young lady. Go on. Wait a minute, I almost forgot. Turn around, honey.
Mother, what are you doing?
Improvements. They're called gay deceivers.
I won't wear them.
You will.
Why should I?
Because to be painfully honest, honey, your chest is flat.
Mother, you make it seem as though we're setting a trap.
Well, we are. All pretty girls are traps. Pretty traps. Men expect them to be. Now look at yourself, young lady. Oh, you look as pretty as an angel on a picture postcard. Now, you come and sit down over here. I gotta fix myself up. I'm gonna show you something. You're gonna get a big surprise. Your mother's going to make a spectacular appearance.
What are you going to do?
Possess your soul in patience, honey. You'll see. Are you ready, Laura? Here I come. Will I do?
Oh, it's lovely.
Well, it used to be, honey. Used to have a lot of flowers all over it, but they got sort of sad looking, so I took them off.
It's still beautiful.
I led the cotillion in this dress. I won the cakewalk twice at Sunset Hill. I wore it one spring to the governor's ball in Jackson. See how I sashayed around the ballroom, Laura. La 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 la. Oh dear, I hope they get here before the rain starts. I told that brother of yours to bring Mr. Connor right home so we wouldn't lose our gentleman caller.
What is his name?
O'Connor.
What's his first name?
Oh, honey, I declare I don't recall. Oh, yes, I do. It was Jim.
Jim O'Connor?
Yeah, that's right. I never knew a Jim that wasn't nice.
We both knew a Jim O'Connor in high school, Mother.
Uh-huh.
And if it's the same one,
You'll have to excuse me. I won't come to the table.
Laura, what nonsense is this? Whether it's him or not him, you won't be excused from this particular table.
I have to.
I'm not going to humor your silliness, Laura. Sit down. I've had about enough from you and your brother both. Now, honey, you just sit there and compose yourself and let them in when they arrive.
Please don't make me open the door.
I shall be in the kitchen busy making the dressing for the salmon. Fuss, silliness over one gentleman caller. Just one, that's all. What would you do if there were 17? You like Hawaiian numbers?
Sure. I like Hawaiian numbers. They remind me of the islands.
Oh, you've been to the islands?
I was born there. A little grass hut. Typhoon blew it down.
What are you doing here?
Oh, just passing through, visiting relatives. I work for a cargo line in the South Pacific. Right now, I'm recuperating from a run-in with Chinese pirates on the Yangtze River.
You're kidding.
Oh, held for ransom. Torture. They took matches and they burnt them under my fingernails, but I didn't tell them a thing.
About what?
International secrets. I had them tattooed on my... in code, of course. My first mate squealed, a yellow rat. 1 week later, Shanghai. Capture. More torture. They put my foot in a vice, and they squeezed it, and squeezed it, and squeezed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Hey, what are you doing?
Cruising down the Yangtze. Have a drink. No, thanks. Nothing for me. Have a drink on me. 2 straight bourbon. It'll brace you up.
For what?
The evening.
Oh, you think I'm going to meet your mother with whiskey on my breath?
My mother is a lady to whom the order of whiskey brings back the fondest and the tenderest recollections of my father.
Oh, Shakespeare, I had the most wonderful surprise today.
Yeah?
I got an invitation to the Progress Club dinner. Well, you know what that means, don't you?
What?
Well, it means that the boys in the front office have got their eyes on me for a junior executive position. Eventually.
That's great.
Yes, sir. Oh, I might as well tell you, they got their eyes on you, too.
You mean that I'm going to be invited to the Progress Club dinner eventually?
I mean, you're going to be out of a job eventually unless you watch out.
That's all right with me.
Hmm? Oh, to the Merchant Marine.
You feel strong now?
Me? As a bull.
Okay, we'll go across the alley and meet my folks.
You know, Shakespeare, I never thought of you as having folks.
As we come through the back of Paradise, we find a broad avenue, across which is the stately residence of the Wingfields. The lawn is spacious, rooted over by ancient oak trees, hung with Spanish moss. Under one of these venerable patriarchs of the forest, Admiral Thomas Wingfield signed his now famous Declaration of Irresponsibility.
What a crazy guy.
Well, here we are.
Oh, taking me in the back way, huh?
No, the front.
Well, let's go before we get caught in that rain. We just made it.
Laura, honey. Laura, the door. Tom must have forgotten his key.
Hey, Shakespeare, you sure this is the right night?
Mother, you go to the door.
Why have you chosen this moment to lose your mind?
Oh, please, Mother, please, I can't. I'm sick.
Just a second. Laura Wingfield, you march right to that door and let them in. I've got to put courage in you for living. Laura, did you hear me? Laura, do as I tell you.
Yes, Mother.
Oh, hello, Laura. Oh, Laura, this is Jim. Jim, this is my sister, Laura.
Oh, I didn't know you had a sister. Pleased to meet you.
How do you do?
I'm okay. Your hands are cold, Laura.
Yes, I've been playing the Victrola.
You must have been playing classical music. You ought to play some hot swing to warm yourself up.
Excuse me.
Yeah. What's the matter?
Oh, Laura's very shy.
Shy, huh? It's unusual to meet a shy girl nowadays. See, I don't think you ever mentioned you had a sister.
I thought you knew.
No.
You want a part of this?
Yeah.
Comics?
Sports. Ah, thanks. Those Cardinals.
Tom,
Yes, Mother.
is that you and Mr. O'Connor?
Yes, Mother.
You just make yourself comfortable in there.
Yes, Mother.
Ask Mr. O'Connor if he'd like to wash his hands.
Oh, no, thanks. I took care of that at the warehouse. Hey, who's that?
Oh, that's my father.
Oh, yeah. First World War, huh?
Oh, he got through all right. He went to work for a telephone company. Fell in love with long distance. You see how he grins?
Yeah.
He's been absent going on 16 years. Say, Jim, you won't mention anything about my plans to Mother, will you?
Well, what plan?
Oh, you know, about joining the Merchant Marines.
Huh?
I paid my dues this month instead of the light bill.
You'll be sorry when they turn the lights out.
I won't be here.
How can you do...
Why, good evening.
Mother, you look so pretty.
Why, that's the first compliment you've ever paid me. I wish you'd look pleasant when you're going to say something pleasant so as I could expect it.
Mother, this
Mr. O'Connor. Mr. O'Connor.
How do you do, Mrs. Wingfield?
Oh, introduction's entirely unnecessary. I've heard so much about you from my boy. I finally said, Tom, I said, good gracious, why don't you invite this paragon to supper?
Now, Mother.
I don't know why my boy's so standoffish. My, that's not Southern hospitality. Won't you sit down?
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
It's very warm.
Yeah, it's getting warm already.
Ah, there's...
Our blood gets so thick in the winter. It takes a while for us to adjust ourselves when the season changes.
Mother.
And it comes so sudden this year, I declare I just wasn't prepared for it. And all of a sudden, heavens, it's just like summer weather. I ran to the trunk and pulled out this light dress. It's so old, it's almost historical. I had to wear something cool. And you said it was pretty.
Mother,
Yes, honey.
how about supper?
Oh, you go ask Sister if supper's ready. You know Sister's in full charge of supper. You just tell her that you two big hungry men are waiting for it. Mr. O'Connor, did you meet Laura?
Oh, yes, she,
Let you in.
Yes, ma'am.
She's very pretty.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
She's domesticated, too. It's very rare to find a girl as sweet and pretty and lovely as Laura, so domesticated. I never was at all.
Oh.
No, I never could make a thing with angel food cake. But then, of course, in the South, we had so many servants. Gone, gone, gone. All vestige of gracious living just gone completely.
Well, it's...
So I just wasn't prepared for what the future brought me. But man proposes and woman accepts the proposal. Mr. O'Connor, I married a man who worked for the telephone company. But he fell in love with long distance.
Yes, I know,
He
Tom.
started to travel and kept on traveling. And I tell you, I haven't the slightest idea where that man traveled to. Oh, excuse me. It must be the blue dress. I didn't mean to get started on my tribulations. Tell me about yours, Mr. O'Connor. I hope you haven't got any.
Well...
Tom,
Yes, Mother?
is supper ready?
Looks to me like it's on the table.
Oh, excuse me. Let me see. What, so it is? How pretty. But where's Sister?
Laura isn't feeling well. She says she thinks she'd better not come to the table.
What nonsense. Laura? Laura, honey, please come to the table. We can't be seated until you come to the table.
Yes, Mother.
Dinner, I said.
Oh, fine. I'm hungry. Hello, Miss Weaker.
Thank you, sir.
What?
Mr. O'Connor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thomas. Laura. Laura. Please.
Thank you.
Laura, honey, you're keeping us all waiting. Laura, honey. We can't say grace till you come to the table. Laura.
Mother,
Laura. I'm so sorry. You are sick. Tom, take your sister into the living room. Laura, you go in there and rest yourself on the sofa. Standing over a hot stove just made her sick.
Oh, sure.
She's normally very healthy. I told her it was too warm this evening. Why, there's rain. A nice, fresh rain's come up.
Yeah.
That ought to make everything fresh and cool.
She'll be all right, Mother.
And I think we may have grace now. Tom, honey, you say grace.
What?
Well, honey, what do we usually do before we eat a meal? We say grace, don't we?
Oh. For that which we are about to receive, we thank thee, O Lord, and for all thy manifold mercies to us this day. God's holy name be praised.
I declare, Mr. O'Connor, I haven't had such a pleasant evening since I don't know when.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Wingfield. I'd like to propose a toast. To the Old South.
What, the old South?
Hey.
Oh, my.
Oh, Shakespeare, what do you think happened?
Maybe it's a storm.
Yeah.
My, where was Moses when the lights went out?
Huh?
Do you know the answer to that one, Mr. O'Connor?
Well, I don't think I do.
I heard one answer, but it wasn't very nice.
That's pretty good.
I guess we must have just blown a fuse or something.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about burned-out fuses, Mr. O'Connor?
Well, I know a little bit about it, Mrs. Wingfield. But where's the fuse box?
Oh, must you know about that, too?
Well, it helps.
It's in the kitchen near the icebox.
Oh, thank you.
Watch out. Don't stumble over anything.
Oh, I got eyes like an owl.
What happened? Wouldn't it be awful if we lost him? Are you all right, Mr. O'Connor?
Yeah, I'm all right, Mrs. Wingfield.
I'd better help him.
Tom Wingfield, that light bill I gave you a few days ago, the one I told you we got the notice about.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't neglect to pay it by any chance.
Why,
You didn't. I might have known it.
I think I broke a plate.
Oh, don't fret about it.
The fuses are all right.
We'd better have some illumination from the candles.
Oh, yes,
I'd
ma'am.
only intended them for ornamentation. I'll spend the rest of the evening in the 19th century, before Mr. Edison found that electric lamp.
Candlelight's my favorite kind of light.
Oh, that's because you're romantic. Tom, as a penalty for your carelessness, you can help me with the dishes.
Oh, let me give you a hand, Mrs.
Oh,
Wingfield.
no, Laura's all by herself in the parlor. Why don't you go in and keep her company?
Oh, sure.
Perhaps you could coax her to drink a glass of wine. Might do her good.
All right.
It's elderberry, homemade. You think you can carry both at once?
Oh, sure. I'm Superman.
Tom, you get into your apron.
Yes, Mother.
Tom, you get started in there while I clear the table.
Hello, Laura.
Hello.
How you feeling now? Better?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, this is for you. Drink it. Elderberry wine. But don't get drunk. Say, where'll I put the candles?
Anywhere.
Well, how about here on the floor, all right? Yes. I better put a newspaper under to catch the drippings. Well, I'm sure the Cardinals won't mind.
I like sitting on the floor. Do you have any objections?
No.
I better use this pillow. How about you? Don't you like sitting on the floor?
Yes, I do.
Why don't you then?
I will.
Better take a pillow. I can't see you sitting way over there.
I can see you.
Well, I know, but that's not fair. I'm in the limelight. Oh, now I can see you. Comfortable? So am I. Comfortable as an old cow. Would you like some gum?
No, thank you.
Are you sure? And I think I'll indulge you. With your permission? Your brother tells me you're shy. Is that right, Laura?
I don't know.
I judge you to be an old-fashioned type of girl. Well, I think that's a pretty good type to be. I hope you don't think I'm being too personal, do you?
No. I think I will have a piece of chewing gum now, if you don't mind.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Well?
Well,
Well, how they getting along?
how should I know? All I know is that this is the first young man we've introduced to your sister. I do want it to be a success. I do so much want it to be a success.
I know, Mother.
Tom, how many times have I told
What have I
you?
done wrong?
Waste.
You know, I have an idea. I've seen you before. I had that idea as soon as you opened the door. You know, it seemed almost like I was about to remember your name, but, well, the name I started to call you, well, it wasn't a name, so I stopped myself before I said it.
Was it blue roses?
Blue roses? My gosh, yes. Blue roses. Well, I didn't even connect you with high school somehow or other, but that's where it was. High school. Well, I didn't even know you were Shakespeare's sister. Say, how did I ever get to call you Blue Roses?
Well, I was absent from school for a while with pleurosis. When I came back, you asked me what was the matter, and I told you that I had pleurosis, and you thought I said blue roses.
You know, this sure is funny.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, sure, I remember now. Say, you were the one who always came in late.
It was very hard for me to get up the stairs. I had a brace on my leg then, and it clumped so loud.
I never heard any clumping.
To me, it sounded like thunder.
I never even noticed it.
I used to have to go clumping up the aisle while everyone was watching because my seat was in the back row.
You should have been self-conscious.
I know. But I was.
That's why you're sort of stuck by yourself, huh?
Well, I've never had much luck making friends.
You know, Laura, people are not so dreadful when you get to know them. That's what you have to remember. And everybody has problems. You think of yourself as being the only one who's disappointed, but just look around. You'll see lots of people as disappointed as you are. Or take me, for instance. Well, I hoped when I was going to school that I'd be further along at this time, 6 years later, than I am now. Remember that wonderful write-up I had in the school yearbook?
Oh, yes.
Said I was bound to succeed in anything I went into.
Here you are on the Pirates of Penzance.
Oh, the pirates. When the foreman bears his steel, tarantara, tarantara, we uncomfortable feel tarantara. I sang the baritone lead in that operetta.
I remember. It was beautiful.
You heard me?
All 3 times.
No.
Yes.
All 3 performances? All 3?
I wanted to ask you to autograph my program.
For what? Right up.
Oh, well, you were always surrounded by your friends. I didn't have a chance.
I was beleaguered by females in those days.
You were very popular.
Yeah. I was spoiled in high school.
Everybody liked you.
Including you?
Yes. I did, too.
Laura, give me that program. Better late than never.
Thank you.
Well, my signature may not be worth very much right now, but someday maybe it'll increase in value. You know, being disappointed is one thing, and being discouraged is something else. I am disappointed, but I'm not discouraged.
How is Emily Meisenbach getting along?
Well, that crowdhead.
Well, why do you call her that?
Well, that's what she was.
You mean you're not going with her anymore?
Oh, I never even see her.
But it said in the personal section that you were engaged.
I know, but I wasn't impressed by that propaganda.
It wasn't true.
Only in Emily's optimistic opinion.
Oh.
Mother. Mother.
What?
If you want to hear what they're saying, why don't you go in the dining room and sit down comfortably?
Such a nice young man. So full of charm and vivacity and...
And charm.
I do hope he appreciates Laura. Such a pity she had to collapse at the table. Did you see how beautifully he acted? He took no notice at all. Has it stopped raining?
I think so.
Oh, Tom, I'm so excited.
Calm yourself, Mother. Possess your soul in patience.
Oh, Mother. You finish high school? You know what I judge to be the trouble with you? Inferiority complex. You know what that is? That's what they call it when someone low rates himself. I understand it because I had it too. I had it until I took up public speaking and developed my voice. Do you know that until then I never thought of myself as being outstanding in any way whatsoever?
You did?
No, sir. I have a friend who says I can analyze people better than doctors that make a profession of it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Well, I don't claim that to be necessarily true, but I can sure guess a person's psychology. Excuse me, Laura, I always take it out when the flavor's gone. I'll use this scrap of paper to wrap it up in. I know how it is when it gets stuck on your shoe. Yes, sir, that's what I judge to be your principal trouble. A lack of confidence in yourself as a person. Now, I'm basing that fact on a number of your remarks and on certain observations I've made. For instance, that clumping you thought was so awful in high school. You see what you did? You dropped out of school. You gave up an education. All because of a little clump, which as far as I can see is practically non-existent.
But that's not true. You've seen me walk.
All you have is a little physical defect, magnified 1,000 times by your imagination. You know what my strong advice to you is? Think of yourself as superior in some way. Just look around you. What do you see? A world full of ordinary people, all of them born and all of them going to die. Which one of them has 1/10 of your good points? Or mine, or anyone else's for that matter, gosh.
You mean everybody is superior in some way?
Some and many. All you have to do is discover in what. Take me, for instance. Now, my interest happens to lie in electrodynamics, and I want to be ready to go right along with it. And I'm planning to get in on the ground floor, and all that remains is for the industry itself to get underway, full steam. Knowledge, zip, money, zap, power, paf. That's the cycle on which democracy is built. I guess you think I think a lot of myself, don't you?
Oh, no. No, I don't.
He's going to get right to the top.
What?
He goes to night school.
Oh, Jim, yeah. He really goes in for self-improvement.
Well, Tom, you should have told me.
Why?
Any young man who studies public speaking is aiming to have an executive position someday. You smoke too much. Engineering. My, that's a thing for the future. That's the sort of thing every mother should be told concerning any young man who comes to visit her daughter. Seriously or not.
Isn't there something you're more interested in than anything else?
Well, I do have my glass collection.
Glass? What kind is it?
Little ornaments. Animals, mostly.
Oh.
Here's an example of one if you'd like to see it.
Sure. Well.
Oh, be careful. If you breathe, it breaks.
I better not touch it then. I'm awful clumsy with things.
Well, I trust you with it. There. Now you're holding it gently. Take him over by the light. He loves the light.
All right.
You see how the light shines through him?
Yeah. Say, it sure does shine.
I shouldn't be partial, but he's my favorite one.
Unicorn, huh? Say, aren't they extinct in the modern world?
Yes.
Ah, poor little fella must feel sort of lonesome.
Well, if he does, he doesn't complain about it. He stays with the other horses that don't have horns. They seem to get along very nicely together.
How do you know?
Well, I haven't heard any arguments among them.
No arguments, huh? Well, that's a pretty good sign. Where shall I set him down?
Just put him over on the table. They all like a change of scenery every once in a while.
Hey, look how big my shadow is when I stretch.
It stretches all across the ceiling.
Say, let's see if it stopped raining, huh? Oh, yeah, it has. Say, that's a wonderful band over at the Paradise. How about cutting the rug a little, Miss Wingfield?
Oh, no.
Ah, a waltz. Let the rest of the world go by.
Well, I can't dance.
There you go again, that inferiority stuff.
But I've never danced in my whole life. I'd only step on you.
Well, I'm not made out of glass. Oh, come on, try it. Look, just hold your arms out a little. A little bit higher. There, that's right. Now, don't tighten up. That's the main thing about it. Just relax. Let yourself go, Laura. Just let yourself go.
Come on. I'm trying.
Now, easy does it. Now, don't stiffen. Loosen the backbone. There. Now you're getting it.
Am I?
Oh, that's a lot better. Oh. It's broken.
Now he'll be like all the other horses.
Here's your favorite piece of glass, too.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise.
Still, I'm awfully sorry I was the cause of it.
Well, I'll imagine that he's had an operation. It'll make him feel less freakish. Now he'll be more at home with the other horses.
It's nice that you have a sense of humor about it. Say, how about going dancing at the Paradise?
Oh, no.
Why not?
Well, I've never been there.
Well, all the more reason why you should go.
No, I couldn't.
There you go again. You said you couldn't dance. Well, you found out different. Now you say you can't go to the Paradise. Well, that means only one thing. That you're still afraid. Of what? You don't have to be afraid of anything. That's psychology. Come on, Laura. We're going out. You're going to have confidence in yourself, and I'm going to give it to you.
What about Mother and Tom?
I'll take care of that. Oh, Mrs. Wingfield.
O'Connor?
Mrs. Wingfield, Laura and I have decided to go out dancing at the Paradise. Do you mind?
Do I mind? Why, Mr. O'Connor, I've always said that dancing was the most civilized form of social intercourse. You go right ahead.
Thank you.
And when you come back, I'll have refreshments waiting for you.
Thank you again, ma'am. Miss Wingfield, may I have the first dance? Gee, doesn't everything look wonderful after a rain?
Oh, yes.
Tom, come here. Tom, you've done it.
What have I done now, Mother?
He's taken her dancing. See how well she's walking. See the way he's holding her arm. Next time he'll bring her a corsage, I just know he will. Then there'll be regular visits. Then he'll ask her to a picnic. A picnic will lead to a first kiss. A first kiss will lead to a ring, and a ring will lead straight to the altar.
Oh, Mother.
Oh, Tom, I've dreamt and worried and prayed for this day. You have too, son. You never wanted to admit it to me, but you have. I know you have. You wanted to make Laura happy, and now you've done it. Oh, Tom, it's all come true, hasn't it?
Come on. We'll show them how. Easy does it. Hey, that's good. Having fun? Sure, yeah. Hey, what's the matter?
I just got smoke in my eyes. What are you doing?
Blowing the smoke away.
Oh,
I like the way you smile with your eyes.
doesn't everybody?
No. You know, most people smile with their lips. Doesn't mean a thing. You're doing great. You think we ought to rest for a little while? Let's sit this one out, huh?
All right.
You've changed, Laura.
Since high school?
Just since an hour ago. You've stopped being bashful. Wouldn't it be funny if you never remembered to be bashful again? If tonight were the end of all that, and from now on you only remembered that you were a very attractive person? Honestly, I wish you could have seen your face on a dance floor with those colored lights on you. Fellas were looking at you, wondering who you were. And I was proud of the fact that I was your partner.
You're just saying that.
Hasn't anyone ever told you that you're pretty? Well, you are. And in a different way from anyone else. I wish you were my sister. I'd teach you to have confidence in yourself. You know, the different people are not like other people. But being different is nothing to be ashamed of. Because other people aren't so wonderful. Look at them. They're 100 times 1,000. But you're 1 times 1. They wander all over the earth, and you just stay here. Why, they're common as weeds, but you're blue roses.
Blue is wrong for roses.
It's right for you. You're pretty.
In what way am I pretty?
In every way, believe me. Your eyes, your hair's pretty. Your hands are pretty. You think I'm making this up because I've been invited to dinner and have to be nice? Oh, I could do that, Laura. I could put on an act for you and say lots of things without being very sincere. But I am. I'm talking to you sincerely. Somebody needs to build up your confidence and make you proud. Instead of shy and turning away and blushing. Somebody ought to kiss you. I shouldn't have done that. Would you care for a cigarette? You don't smoke, do you? Oh, how about a mint? My pocket's a regular drugstore.
No, thank you.
Shall we go?
Yes.
You know, Laura, if I had a sister like you, I'd do the same thing as Tom. I'd bring fellas home to meet you, and the right type, the type to appreciate you. Only Tom made a mistake about me. Maybe I've got no call to be saying this. That might not have been the idea in having me over, but what if it was? There's nothing wrong in that. The only trouble is that in my case, I'm not in a position to do the right thing. I can't take down your phone number, and, well, I can't call you up next week and ask you for a date. And I just thought I'd better explain the situation in case you misunderstood and I hurt your feelings.
Laura, is that you?
Yes, Mother.
Did you have a good time, honey?
Yes, Mother.
Fine. I'm going to bring in something cool to drink in a minute.
You won't call again.
No, Laura. I can't. Well, as I was trying to explain, I've got strings on me. I've been going steady. I go out all the time with a girl named Betty. She's a nice, quiet home girl, like you in a great many ways. Well, we get along fine. I met her last summer on a moonlight boat trip up the river to Alton on the steamer Majestic. Well, right away from the start, it was love. You know, being in love has made a new man of me. power of love is really pretty tremendous. Love is something that, it changes the whole world. Well, it happened that Betty's aunt took sick and, well, she got a wire and had to go to Centralia. So, well, when Tom asked me for dinner, well, I naturally accepted the invitation, well, not knowing that... I wish you'd say something.
I've made you children some liquid refreshment. Jim, do you know that song about lemonade? Lemonade, lemonade, made in the shade and stirred with a spade. Good enough for any old maid.
Oh, no, I never heard it.
Why, you're so serious, Laura.
Oh, we were having a serious conversation.
Fine, now you're better acquainted. You young people are much more serious-minded than my generation. I was so gay as a girl.
Why, you haven't changed a bit, Mrs. Wingfield.
Well, tonight I'm rejuvenated. The gaiety of the occasion, Mr. Connor. I'm baptizing myself.
Here, let me help you.
Yes, I'll skip right back out. I know where my place is when young people are having a serious conversation. And don't forget, Mr. Connor, now that you find your way here, we want you to come all the time. Not just once in a while, but all the time.
Oh, don't go, Mrs. Wingfield. Well, as a matter of fact, I've got to be going.
Why, Jim, you must be joking. It's only the shank of the evening.
Well, you know how it is.
You mean you're a young working man and have to keep working men's hours. Well, we'll let you off early this time, but only on condition that you stay later next time, much later. What'd be the best night for you? I guess Saturday night's the best night for a working man.
Well, as a matter of fact, I've got a couple of time clocks to punch, Mrs. Wingfield. One in the morning and another one at night.
My, you are ambitious. You work at night as well.
Well, not work, but, Betty.
Betty? Who's Betty?
Oh, just a girl. The girl I go steady with.
Is it serious?
Well, we're going to be married the second Sunday in June.
How nice. Tom didn't tell me you were engaged to be married, Mr. O'Connor.
Well, the cat's not out of the bag at the warehouse yet. You know how they are. They call you Romeo and stuff like that. Well, it's been a wonderful evening, Mrs. Wingfield. I guess this is what they mean by Southern hospitality.
It was nothing. It was nothing at all.
I hope it doesn't seem like I'm rushing off, but I promised Betty I'd pick her up at the Wabash Depot, and by the time I get there, her train will be in. Some women are pretty upset if you keep them waiting.
I know all about the tyranny of women. Goodbye, Mr. O'Connor. I wish you happiness and good fortune.
Thank you.
You wish him that too, don't you, Laura? Yes, I do.
Thanks again, Mrs. Wingfield. So long, Shakespeare. Bye, Laura. Don't you forget the good advice I gave you. What are you doing that for?
I want you to have him as a souvenir.
Laura, I'm going to treasure this.
Oh, Jim. Sometime, if you and Betty have a free evening, we'd like to have you visit us.
Thank you, Laura.
Smiling as though something good had happened.
I've had a lovely evening, Mother.
You've had a lovely evening. You've had a lovely evening. It makes you happy when I entertain a man who's already engaged to another girl?
But, Mother, I danced tonight. I danced for the first time. I'm so glad I saw Jim.
Where's Jim now? Gone to pick up Betty at the Wabash Depot. You won't see him again.
But, Mother, I've invited Betty and Jim to visit us.
What? Laura, this is no time to be gracious about it. What do we care about Betty? What do we care about Jim? Tom?
Yes, Mother? Oh, is the gentleman caller gone already?
The gentleman caller has made an early departure. That was a fine joke you played on us.
What do you mean?
You forgot to mention that Mr. O'Connor was engaged to be married.
Jim's engaged?
So he just informed us.
Well, I didn't know.
That's very strange.
But what's strange about it?
Didn't you tell me he was your best friend at the warehouse?
Well, he is, but how did I know?
It's very strange to me that you didn't know your best friend was engaged to be married.
The warehouse is where I work, and not where I know things about people.
You don't know things anywhere. You live in a dream. You manufacture illusions.
Laura, believe me, I didn't realize
I believe you, Tom.
You've had us make fools of ourselves. Effort, the preparation, the expense. New shades for the lamp, new clothes for Laura. All for what?
I'm sick of being blamed for everything that goes wrong in this house.
Tom, you should have known.
Mother, it isn't Tom's fault.
Laura, I don't understand you. I don't understand you at all. I've never understood my children. As for you, young man, you're going to make up for what you've done to your sister. Where are you going?
I'm going out.
That's right. Don't let me interfere with your selfish pleasures. Go to the movies. Go on, then, go!
All right, I will. The more you shout to me about my selfishness, the quicker I'll go. And I won't go to the movie.
I don't care where you go. Walk out just the way your father did. We'll manage without you. I'm strong enough to take care of Laura. You can go to the moon, you selfish dreamer.
Mother.
Forgive me, Laura.
Forgive you for what?
Well, for running away and leaving you behind.
I understand, Tom. Do what you've always wanted to do. Travel. Write.
Thank you, Laura.
Where will you go, Tom?
Oh, far away. To the moon. Maybe. I didn't go to the moon. I went much further. I followed my father's footsteps, attempting to find in motion what was really lost in space. I traveled around a great deal. I would have stopped, but I was pursued by something. It always came upon me unawares, taking me altogether by surprise. Perhaps it was a familiar bit of music. Perhaps it was only a piece of transparent glass. But all at once, my sister touched my shoulder. I turned around and looked into her eyes. Oh, Laura, I tried to leave you behind me, but I'm more faithful than I intended to be.
Laura,
Yes, Mother?
don't soil your dress, honey. You gotta stay fresh and pretty for your gentleman caller. What did you tell me your young man's name is?
Richard?
Richard. I've never known a Richard that wasn't nice. I made a pitcher of lemonade for you both. I hope he doesn't care for anything stronger. What time do you expect him?
Right now, Mother.
Now?
There he is coming down the street.
The The long-delayed but always expected something that we live for.
Hello?
Hello?
And that is how I remember them, my mother and my sister. And so, goodbye.